$260, take one.
The movie is a kind of a memory piece. The movie begins with Tracey. She's wrapped in a shower curtain on the bus.
My name is Tracey Berkowitz, 15. Just a normal girl who hates herself.
She looks kind of disheveled, and she's been through some kind of hell, you're not quite sure. And as she tells the story, she sort of takes us back to over her last few days of how she got here.
Oh, God!
Because the movie is kind of operating out of her head, out of her memory, and out of the fragments of her life that we visit her high school, her psychiatrist, her parents. It has this kind of modular-y kind of, you know, the way your brain works or your memory works, that you don't think too much in a linear way.
No.
Settle down. Tracey, where exactly did you find the toque?
It's very true to the book and very true to the spirit of the book. The book was all done in the first person, and it was all, you know, Tracey actually telling the story and the way that she sees the world.
I'm not the one that needs a friggin' drink.
Doing this film was a great sort of, kind of a wake-up call for me to say, okay, well, we have to make a film in a kind of a different sort of way. We can't compete at all with, you know, even a $20 or $50 million film. We just don't have the stuff. So we kind of use what's around us and try to make something that's completely original, that's really emotional and heartfelt and a great story. But something, when it's done, it's like, wow, you know, I've never seen something quite like this before. We want to compete with the big boys, but it's a kind of David and Goliath sort of scenario.
It's kind of like a coming-of-age story, but I hate saying that because that's so kitschy and blah, blah, blah. But this is a Bruce McDonald coming-of-age story.
This is not some kind of, like, abuse story, okay? I don't cry over spilt milk, you know? I can't even drink milk because I'm lactose intolerant.
Tracey is like this exceedingly honest, emotional, passionate young girl who is most certainly an outsider, and you don't see that a lot in films these days, like really strong young women who are a little bizarre, like most of us are.
Yeah, women are just more interesting generally, so it's kind of, and then I find they don't often get sort of the stories told that are in the sort of general big picture of things. So to me, they're voices that are pretty fresh and interesting, and kind of sit outside the pack of sort of the guy movies, I guess, so to speak.
The teenage girl who has a lot of thoughts about her world and has a lot of opinions about her life. That character is not explored enough on screen or in television or movies, and that's where Tracey steps in. She's a very vocal character, she's a very opinionated character, and she has a lot of interesting ways that she sees the world, and she tells people about it.
Oh, I know what you're doing, you stupid, ugly bitch-type fuck-ass!
Well, for some reason, I always imagined Tracey Berkowitz to be a kind of a 15-year-old Patti Smith of Horses fame, or she's rock and roll star. So for some reason, that was my first impression of Tracey. And when I first met Ellen, she'd just come back from Europe from doing something. And she goes, "Guess who I saw? I just saw a Patti Smith show in Brussels or someplace, right?" I go, "That's really funny. You say that."
I think in the entire film you actually see many sides of her, which I think is really beautiful. She's extremely multifaceted, like we all are. She does go into these fantasies and has a very kind of, you know, can have an exaggerated idea of what might have occurred in her imagination. She's kind of one of the most honest characters I think I've ever played.
The title gave me the first sort of notion of this idea of, you know, the Tracey Fragments. We're looking at the pieces of this girl's life. We're trying to have the screen, the experience of watching the movie sort of be as much as sort of inside her head as you can. I mean, the way memory works, or the way anybody today, I guess, you, me, a teenage kid, processes, you know, information, history, media. The best way to describe it would be the way hip-hop music uses samples and things, that this movie would also kind of do that in a visual way. Well, we're shooting extra things. We're shooting a lot of, like we have a little unit shooting lots of close-ups of objects, kind of like things in Tracy's drawers, things in her purse, things, her shoes. Shooting longer takes, shooting wider and, you know, sort of plate shots of things. So we're shooting sort of extra things to give us kind of visual ammunition when we go into the cutting room, because we're shooting for 14 days and we're cutting for 5 or 6 months. Yeah, Ellen's just got great instincts where she'll always make the surprising choice. She'll always take the other thing. She won't do the expected thing, and that's what I think that's why she's been so successful.
We both knew, we both had her in mind from the very beginning, just knowing what an amazing performer she was and how she delves into a role. We just knew that, we actually always knew, but whether or not she was going to respond to the material and whether or not she was interested in playing Tracey, that was the question on our minds. But she read the screenplay and she loved the character of Tracey as much as we did, and so she came on board.
I just was passionate about the script from the beginning and about the character, and I have no idea how it's going to look in the end, and it's kind of nice because you let that part of your brain go and you just, you know, you never know what's going to happen, and I love Bruce and I trust Bruce, so.
I would hope that, you know, Tracey Berkowitz becomes a kind of a little role model for 15-year-old girls or 15-year-old boys, the way maybe Holden Caulfield became a role model for, you know, teenage kids in the 50s and 60s.